Truth of the matter is, I've been in a major homeschool rut, or maybe homeschool mom rut, maybe just a motherhood rut. I don't know. I even had the thought recently of, should I be sending my kids to school? Would they be better off there? And that's really hard to admit. I've been in a homeschool rut lately. Not in a dramatic, everything is falling apart kind of way. We're still getting our schoolwork done. The kids are learning, we're showing up every day, but everything feels just like we've lost, I don't know, like the whimsy, the beauty, some of the richness. It feels like we're just powering through. And for me, the whimsy, the beauty, the richness is really what I loved about homeschooling and about our homeschool. So I thought I would come on here and just talk about it in case some of you are in that season of life. I've heard that April can be that kind of a month. Maybe it's just something that we all go through. Maybe it's the exhaustion of the school year or the homeschool year. But I thought I would show up on here and just talk about it. I have my Treehouse Schoolhouse preschool curriculum to prepare. So I just have some pieces to cut. So hopefully I can cut them. I don't have my microphone with me and you can still hear me. And we can just have an honest chat about how it's been going and what this homeschool rut looks like and what I plan to do about it. So a lot of our days lately have looked like, let's just do what we need to do and that's it. And I've noticed that when I'm in that kind of place, when I'm stretched really thin, then all kinds of thoughts start creeping in. Like, should I be sending my kids to school? Are they better off having a different kind of influence than me? Especially if I'm like going through a phase where I'm lacking that grace and I'm lacking that patience, which is what I'm going through right now. Am I doing enough? Is this enough for them? Are they missing out on friendships, on community that they would be getting from just being inevitably in the school system? It's like more built-in community, like we are not gonna lie about it. I think homeschoolers, we have it a little bit hard. We are outside, oh, I'm cutting this so wrong. We are outside of the norm of the society. We are, I don't know where you are, but like there's not that many of us where I am, and sometimes it feels like there's a bigger community, and then suddenly that community starts to evaporate more and more as people start putting their kids back in school, because it's just how we've been conditioned. We've been conditioned to feel like this is maybe just a temporary phase, something fun to do, but it's not gonna last. And I'm still deconditioning or unconditioning. What am I doing? I'm still trying to get rid of that kind of train of thought. And I just wanted to come on here and talk about that out loud, because surely I'm not the only one who feels that way. I feel like so many of you are probably going through that. And I don't think it's fair to just show up when things are nice or going well or when things are flowing. It's good to see the flow. Like that's what we come on YouTube for, to get inspired by and get ideas from other homeschoolers. But also part of being honest on this channel for me is admitting when things are not being so rosy, and that is right now. And also talking it out really helps. It's not that homeschool isn't working, it's that I'm really stretched out in margin right now. My baby's been sick for over a week and he's been really needing me. I'm in bed with him at about 6:30 p.m. on a good day every night. Don't worry, he's okay. He's just battling a virus. I've had him checked out 2 times by 2 separate doctors, and it seems like we're reaching the tail end of it, but it's been a lot and I haven't had much time to just do things that I enjoy or take care of my house or my older children for that matter. Oftentimes I tell them a very quick have a good night and then daddy puts them to bed. And so I know it's just a short season, but I think when we go through those taxing seasons where we can't have, let's say, a proper dinner, we can barely brush our teeth because our baby's co-sleeping and he won't, like, he's moving a lot, and if I even move away from him he starts screaming, but he has croup, so I don't want him screaming. So we go through these taxing seasons and then everything else boils up to the surface. Suddenly you notice all these other things, like for example for me, my husband and I, we're on 24/7 365 days a year. We have family nearby, and we were blessed enough where if we need something, let's say I need to go to the hospital in the middle of the night because one of my kids is sick, they would come running and they would help out. However, we are the ones who are on with our kids all the time. We're just always on, and our kids are always with us. Well, my husband works, but I mean, when he's done work, he's a very present dad. But our kids are always with us. They don't really have much outside influence. For me, I've grown up with my extended family. My grandma was always with me. Like while my mom was working, I was with my grandma. I was on her farm. I was involved in, like, she had fruits and vegetables and animals, and I was just like so involved in that life and getting that generational wisdom from her in a way, up until the war started in my home country and then we left. But even then, you know, my aunt moved here and she didn't have any children, and it was just easy to have that built-in connection. I would have sleepovers at her house. I just had so many different role models, not necessarily at school. I don't feel like I had the best school experience, but just I had so many different role models in my own family and extended family, and and then I had more aunts and uncles that like I'm very much close to. And then I start to wonder, is it fair on them to have someone as imperfect as me fully guiding their path to righteousness? But I'm hoping that through God's grace, He can give me the strength to guide my children in the way that He has intended me to guide them. And I know now when I say that out loud, the solution of putting my child in a school with a teacher that I don't even know as the role model is not exactly the right solution, and nor is having peers as the main influence. Obviously, I know when I step away from my sleep-deprived state and when I talk about it, that family really should be the main influence in a child's life. Another thing for me is, if I can be honest, I don't find much joy in the current curriculum we're using. I find the novelty wore off, and I just find myself going through it, but I don't exactly like the hymn or the folk song selection. I normally love hymns, like I love singing them at church, and there's so many beautiful hymns that I really, really love, and they touch me deeply. But for some reason, the ones that we are studying are falling flat. And I think the way also that Alvieri does it compared to how Ambleside Online does it, for example, I was looking, it's just too much studying the hymn as opposed to feeling it and singing it. And I don't think we need all this background on it. And I realize that now. So next year, we're definitely going to be doing things very differently. And I was looking through some of the Ambleside Online hymns for for next year, and some of them I'll keep, some of them I'll change. I will definitely be personalizing our curriculum way more so that it can give us what we need as a family and bring joy back to our family and to our homeschool life. Because if I cannot enjoy a hymn or a folk song, or if I'm not really feeling the scripture that is part of it, because I find it a little too tedious that we're memorizing, then how are my children supposed to delight in that? I think we sometimes expect every season of homeschooling to be life-giving and beautiful and whimsical, but sometimes it's just about showing up and being faithful to what we were called by God. Sometimes some seasons are just showing up, doing the work, doing the next thing. They're not necessarily about growing, they're not necessarily about embellishing things, and I think I just have to realize that that's just the season I'm in. But I've seen a lot of talk on some channels, and channels that I really enjoy watching and that do inspire me to do a better job and to show up better as a mom and as a homeschooling mom, but talk about setting high standards. And I feel like I have set high standards, and I sometimes think that those high standards, academic high standards, can really deplete the joy elsewhere. My husband was telling me, because I'm in the mindset of, am I doing enough? Are we doing this? Are we doing that? And then my husband's like, you know what? I would have done half of what you did. He's like, for example, the history work, did we really need to read all these books and go through every single story? I think that our children would have been just as inspired, and they would have got a grasp of the history with, I don't know, like half of those stories, and then taking a day off to really go somewhere, to go on a road trip somewhere. And it's so true, because we have co-ops and forest school. The rest of the days we're just at home cramming when the baby's napping. Well, not cramming, but we're going like subject after subject, because one of our co-ops, I feel like it doesn't really, what we do there doesn't really translate well into our curriculum. So I just find myself needing to fit 3.5 days, well, 5 days of work in 3.5 days, because one full day we're at a co-op, half a day where my children are at a forest school. Another thing I've realized is I really miss the co-op I was running. Like, it was the thing that added so much whimsy to our life. I miss being out with a group of friends and learning about nature together, and that unstructured playtime that my children would get as well in an outdoor setting, outside in a forest. It was just priceless. For me, it started feeling a little bit like a chore when I called it off, because we had a full-time co-op we started attending for a full day, and then we just had so many other things to fit in, and just organizing and running the co-op was taking a toll on me. And with the baby, winters are very harsh and they're very long in Canada, and I think that's another thing that's contributing as well to how I'm feeling, because it's currently April and it's like -10 Celsius outside. It's too much. Like, I just cannot take it anymore. There was a time when I was doing the 1,000 hours outside with the children, and we were out all day and it was working fine. But this winter, it's just been so difficult, so harsh, and my little boy is not thrilled to be outside for many hours at a time in that kind of weather. So yeah, I'm sure that once spring comes, my mindset will also change and my perspective will change, because that's the big thing, changing our perspective even when things are hard. So for me, instead of trying to fix everything right now, I'm just thinking of what I can do to adjust, to make things better going forward. I've been really thinking about next school year. As we finish up this one, we're just a few weeks short of finishing our first year of schooling. And Charlotte Mason education was just, I've said it before, but it's just been such a natural way. I love the books we've been using, but there's things that I would change. Like, I would love more myths, like, I don't know, Norse myths or Greek, even Irish. Like, my children, they love mythical creatures. And the other day, like yesterday, I did this little thing where I pretended I got a phone, my timer rang on my phone, and I pretended it was a phone call, because I don't really know. And I pretended it was a phone call from a troll who lives nearby in the forest. And they didn't even question me. My children would be the type of children to be like, is that true? But they went along with it because they are craving that kind of fun. So, and for me as a mom, I am the kind of parent that I used to love that as a child, but it takes a lot of work for me right now to be whimsical. It takes planning. And I'm not just a naturally whimsical person, and I wish I was, but I'm not. But this time I sort of was. And so then we went on this troll hunt, and my daughters sang a song. We're going on a troll hunt. We're gonna catch a real one. And then we were looking for signs of trolls and of fairies in the forest. And that was really fun until my baby started crying because he was still feverish, so we had to go home. But I want to do more learning about mythical creatures and reading stories about them, and just setting up experiences for them such as that. And it doesn't have to be this great big thing, but introducing it and adding a story to it goes a long way. So yeah, I want to add more myths. I want to add more whimsy. I think I want to add more Waldorf way of doing things, honestly. Even with math, I find that's the subject I'm the most impatient in with my daughter. I struggle with my patience during math. I don't know what it is. And the curriculum is going well. Like, we completed most of it. We have very little left of our math book, but I wonder if I'm pushing her too hard, and if we should switch it up. We should do some of that wild math or whatever it is. I think I should look into things more and not just stick to what we know and what has been working at the detriment of me losing my patience and damaging my relationship with my children. I'm also reminding myself it's not a forever season. Everything comes and goes, and this is the time I'm in right now. I see the end. I see the light at the end of the tunnel is what I'm trying to say. And if you find yourself in this kind of season, it doesn't mean that you're doing anything wrong. Or maybe you are. Maybe you are doing things wrong, like I am in a way, and you have to reevaluate and you have to switch things up. But sometimes it's just life. It's just what life is, and then you just need to change the way you think about homeschooling and about things. And homeschooling is not always going to be exciting, and it's going to have its challenges. It's not the be all end all against the public school system. Sometimes the public school system is easier. Like, it would be easier for me to pack my kids up. Well, maybe it would be harder in different ways, but it would probably be harder in different ways. But in a way, right now, with what I'm struggling, it would be easier to pack them up and outsource the education to someone else and see them a few hours a day and keep a happy disposition, have my house be clean before they show up. It would just be easier, obviously, but easier is not better. Easier is definitely not the better way. If you are in a rut, I encourage you to lean into prayer. I barely touched my coffee. And that's something I've been doing every night as I'm nursing my baby to sleep for hours at end. I do also pray for a long time, and not just praying and being heard by God, but also listening to what God is telling me and what his answers are to my prayers and what the guidance of the Holy Spirit is. That goes a long way. And that's a true blessing to have him to rely on and him to pick me up when things are hard and to help guide me, to help give me that patience that I need and that calm that I need. And I know everything will be okay. I know everything will work out in the way that it's supposed to. And so if this is you as well, just keep showing up. It matters a lot more than you think it does. Keep showing up for your children, keep showing up for your family, and this will pass. And these moments of being in a rut, we often think that they don't allow for growth, but I actually find myself growing a lot from them. And I see the growth right now, even where we're going. I don't know exactly what next year is going to look like, but I see what we're going to be doing differently. I see what I would like to incorporate more of in our homeschool life and what I want to leave behind. I see what I want to make more time for and what I would like our days to be more filled with. And I'm thinking of how I can do a morning basket and our morning time differently so that we can anchor our days in peace as opposed to rush. And I'm thinking of how we can build more community like we used to have when I was running the co-op for all those years, and how we can bring more excitement and more whimsy and more beauty in our days, and just adding the joy back to our days as opposed to it feeling like a chore. I just really want to do that. I just want to reassure you that as we are going through these very intense feelings sometimes, our children, they are okay. Most of the time they are okay. And yesterday I was sitting on the couch having my quiet time. My baby was napping, my children were outside playing, and I made them a hot chocolate and I brought it out for them. They were sitting on their little picnic table, and the school kids came out for recess, and our backyard faces the school, and that's a whole other level of being faced with the alternate reality every single day. And my children were just sitting at the picnic table drinking their hot chocolate and looking at the kids the whole time. And guilt starts creeping in. Are they envious that they don't get to do that? Do they wish they were there? Are they lonely, like they're just sitting down with each other, they're not really playing with any friends? And so my daughter came back to bring me back the hot chocolate mugs, and so I asked her, does it look like fun what they're doing? She goes, not really, no. And I said, do you wish you were part of what they were doing? And she goes, no. And then my other daughter goes, no, I just wish it wasn't so cold and that we could plant flowers and we could paint outside and do all these things. And so then I realized, you know what, they're good. My own preconditioned complexes of having been in the school system that I'm still working through. And you know, the school system wasn't very kind on me. I didn't really enjoy the experience, but still, I know that for a lot of kids, it can be a good thing. And I wonder, Would it be a good thing for my children, for example? Yeah, your kids are most likely fine. It is just your own feelings that you have to work through. Anyway, so that's where I'm at. I would love to hear if you are in a similar season, or if you've been in a similar season, what has helped you? Any book recommendations, any perspective changes that have been helpful? Thank you so much for being here. I will see you next time. Bye.